junkies out there, I invite you to spend some time with me. I'm Johnny Allen, and this is the Johnny Allen Podcast Show. And the show does start now. I am your host, Johnny Allen. This is the Johnny Allen Podcast / Videocast Show. Welcome to, yes, as I call them, Friday Eves. It is July the 23rd, 2020. Hope you're all doing good out there today. Listen, thanks again if it's your first time here on my channel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and all the good stuff. Hit the notification bell. That way you know every time I come up. Hey, what I do is I talk about everyday life situations. I'm just a normal average guy, we just talk about what's going on in the world for about 30 minutes. Again, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast / videocast. Hey, and before we get going, I got some sponsors that I plug. And I love the advertising these products. I love advertising these products. Anyway, this is Diesel. This is www.shopdieselcoffee.com. If you are a coffee drinker, which I am, and I know there's a lot of people that are coffee drinkers, you don't need to go any further but here. www.shopdieselcoffee.com. I have links below. Some of the best coffee I've ever had, seriously. Tim up there in Lansing, Michigan does a great job. He sells them at the farmer's market up there. He has a nice website. It's all good. ShopDieselCoffee.com. Another thing, if you like sports and you like podcasts, check out Box Kickers Talking Sports. Yes, I got the link on the bottom. Box Kickers Talking Sports. Check out Daniel and Chris down there in Austin. Hey guys, how's it going if you're listening? One more, if you're a musician or a recording artist or a band, if you have a band, and you're close to Indiana, go to Broad Ripple, Indiana. Do your recording at Round Table Recording Company in Broad Ripple, Indiana. That's Round Table Recording Company in Broad Ripple, Indiana. And yes, I am a musician, and I am in two bands, and one of the bands, the Crossroads Saints, is currently recording there. We started our first recording session last Friday. It went well. We recorded till way early in the morning on Saturday. I think I'm still tired from it, almost a week later. But we did good. We started tracking Cradle to the Grave and Legacy, which will be on the second Crossroads Saints album. Website to follow. I'll tell you guys all about that so you can follow the music. Anyway, dieselcoffee.com, Box Kickers Talking Sports, and Roundtable Recording Company. All right, I got some talking points today, guys. I'm just going to first start off with saying, I told you so. I told you so. You guys are probably thinking, what? What are you talking about, John? I told you so. A few episodes back, and I'll link it, I talked about how not to poke the bear. I talked about how if we keep doing this rioting and protesting, not really protesting, but I call it just plain ass rioting. When we start destroying stuff, start clogging the streets, tearing stuff up, throwing stuff, showing guns, and things of this nature, we're going to wake up the bear. We're going to poke the bear. We're going to awake a sleeping giant, which is the government. And look what happened. Look what's happening in Portland. Case closed. And then you got people going, oh my God, they're sitting in the military. Duh. What did I say? I know I'm a small little guy in this big world of podcasting, this big YouTube world, but you guys need to pay attention to me. Start paying attention to what little Johnny Allen here in Indiana is telling you. If you're poking the government bear, you're awakening a sleepy giant. You know what? You're going to cause more problems than just doing your protest and raising some cane. Now, I'm not going to get into all that because, people are going, well, we got to protest. I got a really good close friend of mine that we don't quite agree on that situation. A couple of them say, yeah, young people need to protest. They're pissed off. They got no future. They got blah, blah, blah. I don't know so much about that. It talked about, financial things like, okay, we don't have it as well as our parents did. And they're not going to have it as well as we have it. I don't know about that. For real, I think opportunities are still out there. They might be a little, they're growing slimmer. I'll agree with that. But I know kids that are making a lot more money. Really, my son's doing really good. He makes more money than I do. And he's half my age. Come on. But I guess the bottom line is, with it all, is when you start really destroying cities and gathering in large groups and just making a ruckus, like I said, you're going to wake this sleeping bear. And the bear is the government. They're not going to take that crap. I'm telling you guys, you're causing more problems. Like I said, and I'll share the podcast I talked about this, the podcast episode rather. I will share that because I'm exactly right when I said that. I'm exactly right. So I told you so. So I'm telling you guys, I'll tell you again, need to chill. Need to just take a break. All right. That being said, I'm drinking the diesel coffee, icecoffee.com, and supporting the nickel plate that used to be there that's no longer there. Because where I live, the city decided to change it. Take it out. And that's another thing I want to talk about, too. I want to talk about good and bad and how they go together and how they don't go together. The thing is, like with the nickel plates, we had a good thing going on, and, they decided that we needed to change things up. And is it necessarily better? I don't think so. Anyway, drinking the coffee today. I was in a really good mood last week. I'm still in a good mood, but I'm just kind of in a somber, kind of a melancholy thing. And I'll tell you why. Man, I get on Facebook, for instance, and it's just like, good story, bad, 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 left, right, bad, 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 left, right. I'm not a political show, but I got to talk about this. It's everyday life situations. Finally, I just said, gosh, is there anything positive even on Facebook? I understand everybody's been up frustrations and everything. But here's the thing, okay? We got to work together in a peaceful way. That's the secret, the peaceful way. I've heard some interviews, and I'll share the guy's link this guy discovered, man. I really like him. I'll share him too. And if I don't do it on this show, I'll do it on the next one. This guy, you guys got to check him out. He's a YouTuber, got a really good, makes a lot of sense. He is from, and he doesn't say he's African American. He says, I'm an American from African descent. I like that because if I was from Africa and my skin was a little darker than it is now, I would say, but I'm an American. I would say, you know what? Just exactly what he says. I'm an American from Africa descent. Not I'm an African American. Because he's not in Africa. He's not living in Africa. He's not a citizen of Africa. He's a citizen of the United States. So anyway, I like this guy. It makes a lot of sense. He's got an interview with Charles Barkley. And, back in the day, I didn't like Charles Barkley when he played basketball because he always kicked our butt when he played with the Philadelphia Sixers. He would kill us, and I just didn't like him. But you know what? I've grown to really love Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley. There you go. Anyway, I told you so. Like I said, I told you so. Told you so, told you so, told you so. You guys need to start kind of listening to me. I don't know it all, but I use common sense. If you're going to do all this destruction to buildings and cities and think you're going to take it over, it's not going to happen. And you're going to pay the price. Now everybody's wigging out. Oh, Trump, sending the Nazi army and all this stuff. The way I look at it is this, guys. It's a fine line, and I don't want to get deep into it, but it's a fine line about what's going on. Do you keep the rioting and all the destruction going on and not do nothing about it? Just say, okay, they'll do what they do and leave the military, quote, military police out of it? And all they are is the ramped up police officers with a little more gear because the local guys can't handle it because you got militia with some of these bad actors got AK-45s or whatever. They got heavy weapons and they're pointing it and they're doing a lot of damage. And there's a lot of people. Anyway, you got to have crowd. You got to handle the crowd somehow. The whole thing's a mess. The bottom line is the whole thing's a mess, and that's why I say when things become out of hand, don't let your emotions override your reasonings. Like I say every day on this podcast, when that happens, you got to calm it down. You got to back it off. You got to let it go. You got to sit back. You got to let it rest. Let the smoke die down. Okay, that's what you got to do. Because if you don't do that, it's just going to get worse. And I'll find the quote, but somebody very smart said one time, and I believe it was an American from African descent. He quoted that the violence and the protesting, tearing stuff up, never solved anything. Honest to God's truth. So there's people that say, you know what? Yeah, you really need to tear stuff up. Then you get attention. Nah, not really. You want to get attention? Start writing to your lobbyists. Protest, put signs up peacefully. Make your voices heard. Go to community leaders. Go to church leaders. Go to your community leaders. Like I said, it starts in the home. We need families together. We need family units. All that stuff I talked about last week. That's all I'm going to say about that, guys, is that I told you so. And, just be careful what's going on out there. Another drink. I had a late night last Friday, and I'm still feeling the effects from that. Okay, the next thing I got on my talking notes is I looked at life. I'm looking at life, rather, and I really kind of saw this happening today. And I analyzed this. I saw some things during the course of the day, and it made me really think about this stuff. In life is a vicious circle. And think about what I'm talking about, guys. Life is a vicious circle. It can be. It's a vicious circle. From the time you're born to the time you die. Life is a struggle. We know that. It could be a very big struggle. We have good moments, obviously. We have bad moments. And we have moments that are kind of in between. But I'll use some examples of the vicious circle that we live in. And some of these things you might have thought about, some of these things you may not have thought about. But check this out. One example right here. We know about cancer. Cancer is a really bad disease. Sometimes they cure it, sometimes they don't. And more people have cancer than COVID-19, by the way. And that's just a note. Take that for what it's worth. So anyway, cancer, for example. One of the ways, and I know this because I've worked in that field and I'm still in the healthcare industry, so I know quite a bit about this. One of the ways that you treat cancer, if you have a really bad cancer, is through radiation, called radiation therapy. You guys know that. If you have cancer, sometimes they use chemo, radiation therapy, sometimes both, bone marrow transplants, etc., etc. But I'm going to go with radiation therapy right now. The weird thing about radiation therapy is this. Cancer, also radiation can cause cancer. We know that. Radiation will cause cancer because it gets in your cells and busts the cells up and it can cause things to go wacky. So isn't this weird? I talk about the vicious circle that you get cancer from being exposed to radiation bombardment or a little bit of radiation bombardment. Radiation causes the cancer, but then after you get the cancer, you get treated by the same thing that caused the disease in the first place. And that's just one example. And you talk about the good things, like you say, okay, yeah, your mama and your daddy, usually your mama, teaches you as a kid to go eat your vegetables, eat healthy, eat your apples, eat this, eat that, especially back in the day, all the time. Well, guess what they did back in the day? Not so much now. They still do, but more people are conscientious about it now, which is great. They spray these things on the vegetables to keep them from getting ate up by insects, and it's called pesticides. So for years they were spraying pesticides on all this stuff. Apples. Tell you, eat the apples, right? Wash them off. Still got pesticide residue inside the skin of the apple, and we're just chowing that stuff down, man. We're ingesting all these poisons. So you're thinking you're doing great, eating all these vegetables and all these healthy stuff, and really you're eating poison. So there's another example of the vicious circle, right? You think you're doing your body some good, and you're killing yourself. You don't mean to, but it's just happening. So that's just a couple examples of this vicious circle in life that we live in. We want transportation with cars. We love cars. I love cars. I love fossil fuel fired cars. In other words, use gasoline. I like to hear the rev of it and stuff like that, but we're putting all the pollution in the air and all that stuff because we're breathing it in. We love the convenience of the car, and it's great, and it's nice, and all this stuff, and we love it. We enjoy it, but it's the silent killer. We're killing the environment and killing us with cars and everything else that puts out pollution. And even there's natural pollution that we can't control, like volcanoes and things of that nature that we can't control, right? So again, vicious circle. The vicious circle we live in life. Same thing what's going on in the political realm. This rioting going on. And I just want to get this microphone a little closer. This rioting that's going on, okay? So it starts off, police brutality, a lot of frustration built up by the certain groups, right? Especially the black folks, getting all upset. And rightfully so, in many cases. They're feel like they're being treated unfairly for a long, long time. You guys know the story, blah, 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 blah. Starts this big movement. George Floyd gets killed. It's, all over the internet. People see it. It blows up this firestorm. People get mad. These groups form. They've been holding back and hating stuff anyway. And they get out there and they do all this destruction and stuff. Now, and it's supposed to start off as being just basically a protest and bringing up awareness. It's gone to anarchy and destruction. And now they have to send, like I said, poking the bear, and the bear has to come in, and the big bad bear, being the government in this case, comes in, and it's just causing this big, huge fusion. And then you get all these stories that come, rumors, some of them true, some of them not, whatever. These big rumors and stuff flying around. It just gets out of whack. So there you go again. It's that vicious circle again, right? Starting off peacefully, not ending so much peacefully, right? Another cup of coffee. Or drink of coffee. Oh man, I need cups of coffee. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing good. I'm just kind of talking, bringing these points up. I'm usually kind of excited and, kind of more excited, I guess. But today I'm just kind of somber because it's just, what's going on in the world. And it's all vicious circles. Everything from the food we eat to the water we drink to the environment's a vicious circle there that we're fighting, to our financial woes that we have around the world is a vicious circle, to the countries trying to run each other, the Chinese trying to take over America. Is America the bad guy? One of my good buddies told me, just blew me away just 2 days ago. He says, really, America is evil. America is the devil. I'm having a hard time buying that one. I don't accept that so much. I know we're not perfect. I know we made a lot of mistakes. But the point I'm trying to make is it's all over the whole world. This big chaotic, vicious circle. Talking about the vicious circles, guys. Vicious circle of life. And it's been going on for thousands of years. If you're a religious person or you believe in the Bible, especially if you're a Christian, you believe that Jesus Christ came to the earth, right? Not that we try to sound like a preacher. That he came in at a time when it was very chaotic. Even when he's supposed to be born, it was a miracle that he survived the birth. It was a miracle that he survived his childhood. Because at that time, they were killing babies. The world was really, really bad at the time Christ came. The world was horrible. When Christ came and tried to make a point, come to the earth, perform some miracles, did his thing, trying to teach us lessons as human beings. Guess what? We, for the most part, have not learned them. We're still doing this vicious circle. It's been going on for thousands of years since recorded time. And, you really think deeply about this. You think about, like I said, everything involved, this world, right? And, when I was a kid, I was born, right? Obviously born. As a kid growing up, I thought everything was great. Never had any major problems. Especially when I was real little before I started school, everything was fantastic. And then when I was like in second grade is when I started realizing that things were not so fantastic and so perfect in this perfect world that I, was growing up in. And I'll use an example. When I was in second grade, which was a long time ago, we used to have these little crayon boxes. You guys remember them? Long time ago. They weren't plastic. They were actually cardboard boxes. Little green ones about this long, had a lid. Anyway, you put your markers and crayons or whatever, crayons in there. So I'm telling you guys, I was in second grade, so this was like a long, long time ago. This is like back in the early 70s, right? Anyway, I decorate my crayon box, and I like ducks, and I, drew pictures of ducks on my crayon box in second grade. And, I didn't know how to spell yet. I wasn't real good at spelling, so I was writing duck all over my box, right? D-U-C-K, D-U-C-K. Well, being a second grader, I really didn't know what was going on. And, I messed up a letter. You can probably guess which one I messed up. Well, instead of the D, I put an F. So it doesn't spell duck anymore. You figure it out, right? Well, here's my point. This little girl, my age, at the time, second grader, girl, started making a big fuss about my box. Oh, you wrote bad word on it, blah, blah, blah. Second grade. And this is back in the 70s, guys. Not today. And it's gotten far worse today. She knew what that word meant. That's the whole thing. The bottom line is she knew what that word meant. I could not believe it. She knew what it meant. She goes up and reports it to my teacher, making a big fuss. And I'm thinking, what in the world's going on? This poor little second grader to have no idea what's going on. I just told her, I said, it says duck. I mean, I still remember this, and I'm 56 years old. And so the teacher just came back and said, hey, it's not spelled that way, it's spelled this way. But my point is second grader knew what that word meant. Knew there was a bad word. How does that happen in second grade? How's that happen? And like I said, it's gotten far worse. It's this vicious circle we live in. So anyway, my world I started realizing that the world was not all perfect. That there's bad things in the world. So if anything that little girl did besides traumatize me at the time was awaken me to not everything is roses, okay, and lollipops in the world. That there's bad in the world. There's evil in the world. There's bad words in the world. And it's still going on to this day, obviously, right? And it seems like it's worse now than it has been in the last, since I can remember. But it's not as worse as it's been as far as back in history, like in the days of Christ. That was pretty bad. But are we headed in that direction? Yep. Is history repeating itself? Yes, it is. And like I told my buddy I had the conversation with 2 days ago, he said, man, this is really bad. America, blah, 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 America's bad, blah, 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 the COVID virus, blah, 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 blah. After he got done talking, and all respect to him, because I love him to pieces, he's like a brother. I told him, I said, well, what's even worse than that? You want to think about something. Putting all this rioting and the military police and all this stuff aside, and the COVID virus and things like that, put that all aside. What China's doing over there, taking Muslims and rounding them up and putting in trains like they did Nazis. I bet you guys didn't know about that one, but look it up. Anyway, putting all that aside, here's the real scary thing, and I've mentioned this before in the past. Is a few people can push a few buttons and can destroy the world 3 or 4 times over. I know it's sobering thought. And it's a sobering podcast today. So in that respect, we probably are worse than we were at the times of Christ. And speaking of Jesus, a good friend of mine that is in the Hopeful Band and goes to my church. Just want to put a shout out to Steve. Thank you, Steve, for the wonderful birthday gift ahead of time. He surprised me. He blew me away when he says, I'm giving you this item for your birthday. I'll show you guys next week what it was. So kudos to you, Steve, and God bless you, Mr. Steve. He knows who he is. And it's at some point I may plug. He does teachings. If you guys are you guys want to learn more about the Bible. Like I said, I'm not a religious show either, but if you need some faith today and some education and some saving, whatever, if you're interested, I will let you know about my friend Steve. He does a great job doing some Bible studies. Yeah, a little bit sobering podcast today. Another drink. But basically, I just wanted to talk about the vicious circles that we live in every day in this world, and how the coincidences are with, like I said, using chemicals, and even like I use cancer as an example. These bad chemicals that give you cancer, they use the poison chemicals, which is chemotherapy, is like a poison, and radiation is a poison to kill the disease in your body, which was caused by these poisons in the first place. Isn't that just weird? Poisons that cause disease, and you use poisons to kill disease. That's almost what's going on in the society. Think about that one. Poisons that cause disease, and you use poisons to cure the disease, right? Now, that's really the bottom line of this podcast today, guys. Think about that one. There's a poison in the world, okay? A big poison in the world. And they're trying to cure with other poison. Think about it. Just like you do with someone who's suffering with cancer and being treated. Treating them with poison, basically. That's what it is. Chemotherapy goes through your body, makes you very sick. Talk to somebody that's had it. They'll tell you. Interesting stuff today. Kind of looking a little bit deep. The vicious circle. The vicious circle. And lastly, it's life lessons, right? It's all involved in life lessons. The vicious circle. And how do we deal in the life lesson? Living in a world full of vicious circles. What's our life lessons from that, rather? My life lesson is, at 56 years old, is this. I do the best that I can with what I have to work with. And I pray every day for forgiveness, faith, and grace on everybody, and including myself, particularly myself, rather. I try to be a man of integrity. I try to help ones that are sad and in sorrow. I try to do everything I possibly can to make the world a better place without being destructive, without being a poison. To get rid of a poison, don't be a poison. You get what I'm saying? Nothing against the rock band Poison. I love those guys. But seriously, if you want to beat the poison of the world, don't be a poison. Be the antidote. Like when a snake bites you, go get the antidote. Don't inject more poison into the system. And that's what's happening with the rioting and the destruction of property. These young people that are doing this got to know that you cannot be a poison to get your point across. Think about that and listen to what I'm saying. Seriously, listen to what I'm saying. You cannot be a poison if you're going to cure a poison. That's it. That's all I got today, guys. The vicious circle. Go out and get your coffee. Have a good weekend this weekend. It's going to be hot here in Indiana. Weather forecast real quick, guys. Weather forecast. Hot, muggy, steamy, rainy, thunderstormy here in the good Midwest. It is the end of July, almost August. Have a great weekend. Love your family. Love your close friends. Love a stranger. And when I say love, I mean just show love. Peace and harmony in the world. That's not a poison. Peace and harmony and love is not a poison. Demonstrating by kindness is not a poison. That's an antidote to all the problems that we got going on here in the world. Okay? And foreign countries need to leave other foreign countries alone. Chinese can do what they want to do, just don't bring the bad stuff over here and vice versa. This whole thing about spying on each other and all that's nonsense, folks. Nonsense. It's just a big, huge game with a lot of powerful people with weapons that can destroy the world over. Like I said, life lessons is like, okay, we live here, do the best you can with it. I try not to dwell and worry about it all the time. I just do the best I can with what I got to work with. And I'm a small person, and I can just give, try to start by examples. Small person, small little person trying to maybe catch on to the masses, right? That's it. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to convey in this 30 minutes. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening to me yak. Go get your diesel coffee. If you like sports, head over to Box Kickers. Talking Sports. Got the link below, Chris. And like I said, roundtable recording in Broad Ripple, Indiana. Crossroads Saint stuff is coming down the pike. We've already started the album, and as soon as I get them up, get the material together, I'm going to share it with you guys. All right, God bless, and like I say every week, the Lord willing up there. I'll see you again next week, guys. Remember, have a great weekend, and don't be a poison, be the antidote. Later.